Okay guys, welcome to the next Blender tutorial. So today we are doing overhanging lights, especially tube lights and stuff. So what I'm going to do to begin this project, let's go ahead and add a plane. Just scale that out. So basically we're adding a plane so that we can see the light coming in, and also I'm going to get rid of the lamp. Let's get rid of that. The default cube we can keep, that's no problem. Let's go with G. We'll bring this up because this is going to be a light on a ceiling. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and scale this out and then scale this back in. So essentially what you want to do with this is we're going to go to edit mode. Let's take this face at the bottom right here, and what we'll do, we'll press G just to bring it down just a little bit. I'm going to go E for extrude. Just extrude it just slightly, scale it in, so you've got that nice little bevel at the bottom. We'll go E for extrude again, leave it where it is and click. Let's go with S for scale. So essentially we're just making a border at the moment. S for scale in, as such, and then we'll do E for extrude again, just to bring this up to the top. So, you don't want to go through the back right here. You don't want to, you don't want this. You want to have that nice little gap in between. If you guys can see that, there's this little gap right there. So, let's go off for X-ray mode just for 1 second. This will be the basis for our light. So, I'm just going to go ahead and shade that smooth. And what we're going to do for the lighting, let's go with add. And we'll go cylinder. Let's go G, bring this up. You want to go ahead and rotate the cylinder by 90, so you can go sideways like this and just press 90. S to scale outwards, S to scale down, and then you just want to scale this outwards again. Let's go with right click shade smooth, and essentially you want to make this the size of this. You want it you want it to fit. So let's press G, bring this up, make sure this fits. You want to scale across the axes until you get to about here. Let's press G, just bring it up, make sure that it fits and sits. Beautiful. Right, okay, so with this we want to press G, just bring it down again. I'm going to go ahead, before we place any materials on this, I'm going to make some ends for this. So all we need to do is go Shift D, duplicate this. You want to go ahead, scale this inwards, and then scale this outwards, just slightly, and then G, bring it back down, so that it sits over the top, and then press G again, go along the axes, and then place this at the end. So this one is going to be a connector. This will be your tube lighting. So if we take the tube lighting right here, go to material, press new, and this you can rename as tube lighting. You don't have to, but if you'd like to, you can. Let's go with principal BSDF right here, and in the drop down change to emission. So now with tube lighting it's generally orange. So let's go for a nice little orange. If you'd like the same tone that I have, go to the hex right here and just type in this little code right here, and you should be able to get the exact same tone that I've got. So with the end piece right here, we're going to go new. Let's go and change this to black. So now we should have something that looks like this. At this point, what I would say to you is go to your render tab, and if you still have Eevee selected, select cycles instead. So let's go back to the materials tab as well, and we'll click on this end part right here. We're going to go Shift D to duplicate this, and then bring this across to the opposite side. So now we'll take this, press G, bring it up, it should fit right in there, and just kind of move it across the side to where you would like it to be. So when we have this, we've got the inside of the lights on either side and stuff. So let's press G, bring it across, and I'll show you what I mean. So the border will cut the light off if you've got it too far off. So you would just want this just to sit on the outside of that. So let's press Shift D, move this across to another one, and then Shift D again, and we can move this across to here, and just keep going Shift D until you reach the other side just here. So it might take a little bit of fiddling with this just to get it in the correct place, but once you've got it, you should have something like this. So now, we don't have a light in the scene, but we do have emissions inside of the light that we just made. So let's go ahead and go to the last render mode, and you can see now that we have this nice little light tubing going on inside of there. So let's go ahead and just take this plane that we have at the bottom right here. We'll go Shift D just to duplicate this, and then we can place this as a ceiling just at the back. Now I've placed this a little bit further up because what I want to do is add some strings to the top of here. So we have our little light that's going on there, and we can see that the light's hitting the bottom plane, and we can also see that the light is also refracting off the top of the ceiling. So what we can do now, let's go back to the basic kind of render. Let's go add, and we can add cylinders. Again, we're just going to stretch. We're going to make this really small, stretch this out, and then make it small again. Press G, bring this up. So we can make this as, we could go to the drop down right here and just select the black for this. Let's go with 7 so that we can see above, and we'll go to wireframe. So now we can see that we've got our lights right here. We can press G, just move this new little piece that we've got just to the corner right there. This should be directly under the light. So what we can do now is we can press G, just bring this up, and you want it to just sit just within the confines there. You don't want it to interact with the lights at all, because that'll affect the lights. Then what we're going to do is, let's go Shift D, move this across to this side, just roughly equidistant, select them both, and you can press Shift D and move these to the opposite side as well. So now you should have, I think those are a little bit too close just there. Let's go ahead and press G and move them in. Yeah, I think that would be roughly correct. Now we have this nice little light that's coming in. So the next thing you can do is take the actual casing for the lights, and you can make this kind of like a metallic kind of casing. And just turn the roughness down a little bit, and it should help to diffuse the light a little bit. So what you can do with this as well is you can turn up the emissions. So you can click on the tube right there, and we can adjust the strength of the emission as such. So this kind of lighting would be great in, say, like an old supermarket or something like that. Say like you had a game, if you're still using Blender Game Engine, which is available on some of the older versions. So you can have something like this. But to be honest with you, I don't like the way that the lights look. I feel it's just a block of lights rather than individual lights themselves. So we need to fix that. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the brightness on this object, so maybe make it a little bit more grey. That might help us just a little bit, so that we can see individual lights. But the best thing that we can do is go into the shading tab. So let's go into the shading tab right here, and I'll teach you a little trick. So usually when you have tube lighting, especially when I was growing up as a kid, you'd have that one light that was flickering, or you'd either have that one light that had a little imperfection in it. They weren't all perfect, and if you dropped them, they just shattered. So we have the tube material right here, and we can see that we have the emission, we have the color here, we have the strength. So what you want to do is click new material right here, which is the 2 pieces of paper just at the side of your little selection. This will create tube 001. So this is now a separate material. You want to go tube and just put this as tube 2. So this one is now tube 2. The rest of them are just tube 1. So we're going to go ahead and add, and we'll go a noise texture, and we'll go colour to colour. You'll notice now that this one has changed in texture. So we can scale this up, we can scale this down, you can have this as whatever you'd like. What we're going to do now is go to add, colour ramp, colour spelt the American way, and we will add a nice little orange in here. So this looks like a defective light. Looks like this light is about to break. We can go ahead, turn down the roughness, turn up the roughness, whatever you'd like. Scale up, scale down. Totally up to you. One little light that has this imperfection that the rest do not. You can change the colour on this a little bit. You can make it darker, you can make it lighter. We could have this one. Let's duplicate this one. Again, it's changed to tube 001. We're going to go tube 3. And for this one, oops, it mustn't be working. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to have one that doesn't work, what I would suggest to you, instead of an emission, let's go ahead to the materials tab and let's change this from emission to glass. And then just brighten that up just a little bit. So now you have some nice tubes that are working right here, one that's not working, and then you have one that's a little bit defective. So, I mean, if you're going to make this as kind of like an old supermarket or something like this is probably perfect for something like that. It just gives it a little bit more realism rather than this uniform look. You know, I always say to people, if you're going to make something, like, make it and make it look perfect, and then absolutely just trash it. Just trash it. Because nothing in this world is perfect. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, you could mess around with the IOR with this as well too. That's pretty cool. But, yeah, nothing's perfect. If you walk around the world, you'll see that, you know, you could have anything really that looks perfect, but there'll be something wrong with it. You know what I mean? One other thing that I'm going to mention with these tube lightings, generally when they're off, they're quite rough. They're not smooth. It's not like it's smooth glass. They're kind of like, it's almost like a haze. It's the only way that I can describe it. So just pull your roughness up, really. Yeah. So if you like this tutorial, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.